Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian Podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Fertility Dietitian Podcast. If you've been trying to conceive for a while, chances are you've heard the word antioxidants tossed around quite a lot. Just take antioxidants or egg quality. It depends on antioxidants. Maybe you've heard that your partner needs antioxidants for sperm health. But like most things in fertility, it's not that simple. Antioxidants are not magic pills. They're tools though, and how and when and why we use them does make a difference. So especially when we're talking about things like egg quality and sperm quality, progesterone, implantation, and lining support. So today we're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about why oxidative stress is such a big deal for fertility and how antioxidants support or change this oxidative stress pattern, and how antioxidants support both male and female fertility. We'll specifically talk about vitamin C and melatonin, NAC, and CoQ10 because they deserve special attention when we're talking about antioxidants. And we're also going to talk about how antioxidants influence progesterone, influence the corpus luteum, and in turn influence progesterone even more. We'll also talk about sperm DNA fragmentation and the uterine lining and antioxidants involvement in those pieces of the fertility puzzle as well. And of course, we'll talk about how to get more in, where to get them from, if it should be food, if it should be strategic supplement support, and when to use that appropriately. So this is about, as always, it's always about working with your biology, not throwing supplements at a problem and just hoping for the best. So at its core, oxidative stress is an imbalance. It happens when the body is producing more free radicals than it can neutralize. And those free radicals can damage cells. So there's always a little bit of oxidative stress happening, but the amount can be shifted depending on really your overall internal environment and how you're living your life. So here's the really important part. Egg and sperm are especially vulnerable to oxidative damage. Why? Because eggs are formed before we're born. They are actually present in our grandmother's womb when she was pregnant with her mother. And then when we are cycling as females, they're going to be maturing over at least a 3-month time period. So they mature over a much longer time period than that, but their most significant amount of maturation happens in about a 3-month window. So we have the most influence on shifting the quality of the eggs over a minimum of a 3-month time period. So when you have longer to support egg quality and focus on reducing oxidative damage, you're actually supporting the egg that will be ovulated 3 months and 6 months and 9 months down the road, which is pretty cool. Sperm are constantly being produced and they are very sensitive to their environment, but the whole spermatogenesis process actually takes at least 80 days. Some say closer to 100 days. So we can also have a really significant impact on the quality of them over that time frame. But there's more significant improvements and change in between that time frame too, just because of how sperm are produced also. And reproductive tissues are also highly metabolic. So they're also going to be very respondent to oxidative stress and damage. Mitochondria, which are the energy centers of the cell, are really central to fertility, and they're prime targets for oxidative stress. Actually have 10 times the amount of our eggs actually have 10 times the amount of mitochondria than any other cell in the body. They're very susceptible to damage and also need a whole lot of energy and resources to function appropriately. So Antioxidants can play a really big role in protecting those cells from damage and allowing those cells to be healthy enough to produce enough energy for reproduction. Oxidative stress can damage the DNA inside of our egg and our sperm and negatively impact mitochondrial function. It can reduce sperm count, motility, and morphology. It can actually increase sperm DNA fragmentation. Also, it can certainly disrupt the quality of ovulation and even interfere with the corpus luteum, which is what is produced after a follicle ruptured. So after ovulation happens, we have a corpus luteum form, which is what is producing progesterone. So oxidative damage can interfere with that process and the health of that corpus luteum, and therefore the health of your progesterone after ovulation as well. And oxidative stress can also impair uterine lining development and receptivity, which is important for implantation, right? This is why antioxidant support isn't just about egg quality, although that's a really important piece. It's also about the entire reproductive environment. So let's start with one of the most underrated fertility nutrients, vitamin C. Vitamin C plays a key role in supporting that corpus luteum, which produces progesterone after ovulation. It protects luteal cells from oxidative stress and even supports blood vessel integrity and circulation in the uterus. It also enhances iron absorption, which impacts lining health in some really big ways as well. If you've heard me speak about implantation before, you know that supporting blood flow is a really important variable there, and iron is really involved in that process. Vitamin C is one of those nutrient buddies to iron to support that absorption. Also, iron is very complex, so if you are taking an iron supplement or have been or are anemic, make sure you go back and listen to my episode on iron to learn more about that piece of the fertility puzzle. Also, progesterone production is a metabolically demanding process. So if oxidative stress is high, the corpus luteum can struggle to keep up. Even if ovulation technically happened, it may not happen well, which means that your progesterone quality is not really top notch. This is one reason I see short luteal phases, low or borderline progesterone, which can then lead to short luteal phases. Spotting before periods is also a sign or symptom of this happening. And also we can see nothing sometimes, and it's still going to be a progesterone quality issue. So if everything's looking normal, but continually not resulting in a pregnancy, we still want to check in on the quality of that ovulation. Vitamin C also supports collagen formation, endometrial integrity, immune balance within the uterine environment. Also, all pieces that are really, really important for a good cushy lining and implantation success. From a food perspective, vitamin C is not just citrus. We often think of oranges when we're thinking about vitamin C. But even though that's a good option, we have other foods that are actually a lot higher per volume in vitamin C, like kiwi, for instance, and mangoes, bell peppers, and strawberries, even broccoli and dark cherries. And then your citrus zest is also a really good option. And then, of course, the whole citrus fruit is also going to be still a vitamin C rich option, but don't forget about those other ones. Like 2 kiwis a day after ovulation can be a really good tip for boosting your vitamin C intake. From a supplement perspective, vitamin C can be incredibly helpful, especially in the luteal phase, but the dosing and timing can matter, and it should always be considered in context of things like iron status and inflammation and stress as a whole. So an individualized approach can definitely be helpful there, but the foods are definitely something everybody can do appropriately without a deeper dive anyways. The next antioxidant I want to talk about is melatonin. It is probably one of the most fascinating fertility antioxidants. It's actually a hormone, sleep hormone, but it's also a potent antioxidant, especially within the ovaries. Melatonin concentrates directly in ovarian follicles, and it protects egg DNA and oxidative damage. So it's protecting that DNA inside the egg from oxidative damage in order to improve and support that overall egg quality. It supports mitochondrial energy production also. So again, another way it's supporting the quality of that egg and the energy that's able to be produced for robust ovulation. And it even helps regulate hormone signaling within the ovary. Higher quality eggs require efficient mitochondrial function, low oxidative stress, and strong circadian rhythm signaling. This is why sleep and light exposure and melatonin are really inseparable from fertility. Disrupted circadian rhythm from things like late nights and screen time all day and all night, inconsistent sleep, all increase oxidative stress inside the ovaries. And while melatonin supplementation can be really helpful for many, I always want to think about light exposure, especially getting that morning skylight before screen time, really limiting, hopefully eliminating blue light at nighttime at least an hour before bed, ideally 2 hours before bed, having consistent sleep timing that's going to support an 8, really 7 to 9 hours of sleep, higher end for our women, and supporting those overall cortisol patterns. So natural melatonin creation is supported by all of those habits, and we want melatonin to support a rhythm. So supplementation can still be really beneficial, especially for our ladies that are over 35, but low dose at nighttime while you're focusing on all of these sleep hygiene, light hygiene tips is going to make the biggest difference. So keep it 3 to 5 milligrams. High doses of supplementation here can actually interfere with ovulation. And that's how closely connected it is to that circadian rhythm signal. So being careful with that is always important too, but can be a game changer in the egg quality department. All right, so NAC or N-acetylcysteine is another big important antioxidant that can be so helpful. NAC is actually a precursor to glutathione, which is the body's master antioxidant. Glutathione is critical for egg maturation and sperm development, for protecting reproductive tissues from toxins, for supporting our liver detox pathways that influence hormone balance. And in women, NAC can actually improve egg quality, support ovulation, and reduce oxidative stress in women with PCOS and other inflammatory conditions. So it can be really helpful there. And then in men, N-acetylcysteine, or NAC is sometimes how it's referred to. Also, it is shown to improve sperm count and motility. It can reduce sperm DNA fragmentation, support overall semen quality. But remember that NAC is not a take forever supplement. It's most effective when used strategically during our preconception prep in periods of higher oxidative and inflammatory stress, and in people with known detox or glutathione issues. So timing should be individualized. I have clients that also use it into pregnancy because we see some really good supportive impacts there, but always work on an individual basis with your provider on supplementation as a whole, but also with NAC too. Another antioxidant is CoQ10, one you've probably heard about. It's talked about probably the most out of all of these, but CoQ10 is foundational for fertility because it directly supports mitochondrial energy production. And eggs and sperm are really energy hungry cells. Like I mentioned, our egg cells have 10 times the amount of mitochondria as any other cell in our body. So they are just craving that energy. And without adequate mitochondrial function, we see poorly matured eggs. We see sperm that have low motility. We see embryo development that can be compromised. But CoQ10 actually supports that energy production, which is called ATP, which is the type of energy that our mitochondria produces. It protects mitochondrial membranes. It reduces oxidative damage in the reproductive cells. You can think of these antioxidants, really all of them, as little superheroes that come in and protect the cell from that oxidative stress. That's how I think about it in my mind. But In women, so when they take CoQ10 or really increase CoQ10 in the diet, we see improved egg quality, better ovarian response, improved embryo quality also. And in men, we see improved sperm motility, improved morphology. Yes, we can improve morphology. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. CoQ10 is a very small piece of that puzzle, but we do see benefits from it. For morphology, and then improve DNA integrity. So if you're seeing a high amount of DNA fragmentation, this can also be one of the many helpful tools to decrease damage there also. So our dietary sources include organ meats and sardines and beef and dark leafy greens. So the most bioavailable are going to be our animal foods like our organ meat, sardines, and beef. Therapeutic levels, so the levels that we know really move the dial, usually require supplementation, especially as we age. But the form really matters. You want ubiquinol, not ubiquinone. And you want to be smart about when and how much you're supplementing that. So it can actually interfere with sleep. So don't take it too close to bedtime, for instance. Depending on the dose that you're taking, you want to divide the dose up for the best outcomes. Also, we are typically recommending around 400 milligrams a day in divided doses, so 200 milligram doses for men, but it can depend on what's happening with their semen analysis and those sperm parameters initially. And then for women, we're often recommending anywhere from like 400 to 600 milligrams, depending on a lot of factors. And it's an expensive supplement too. So we always want to use our supplement dollars wisely. And anytime we can get more of these foods in our diet, it's also going to be supporting the supplementation intake that's coming in as well. So remember, supplements are supplementing, not replacing what we're getting with nutrition and lifestyle. Okay. And just kind of wrapping all of this up, healthy implantation requires a receptive, well-vascularized lining. These antioxidants are not only supporting the quality of the egg and the quality of the sperm, they're supporting the overall reproductive environment. And we know that oxidative stress can reduce blood flow to the uterus. It can actually impair endometrial development. It can disrupt immune signaling at implantation. So increasing our antioxidants for lining health does include vitamin C. It also includes vitamin E, polyphenols, specific types of food properties from berries and plants, and glutathione supports. Remember that NAC is a precursor to glutathione, that master antioxidant in the body. But lining health also depends on blood sugar balance and iron regulation and inflammation control, as well as stress and nervous system regulation too. So always know that antioxidants don't work in isolation. They work within a system. All right. So this is where I want to slow things down. More is not always better. We don't want to eliminate all oxidative stress. Some is actually necessary for overall reproductive environment, ovulation, fertilization, and implantation. But the goal is to find balance. So from food, we were thinking about colorful fruits and vegetables every day, berries, citrus, kiwi, herbs and spices, high quality proteins that support glutathione production, adequate minerals to actually be able to use the antioxidants also. From supplements, we want to make sure that it's really targeted to what you need and what's going to give you the best benefit, ideally basing on labs and symptoms and just overall what's most realistic and sustainable for you as a couple. And then potentially adjusting them across the cycle to save on those supplement dollars and just be really strategic about how we're going to create the biggest bang for your buck. And this is really why fertility support should feel investigative, not dismissive. Okay. It shouldn't feel like a blanket. It shouldn't feel like, well, yeah, you can try this. It may or may not work, which you may have kind of heard in this podcast, but hopefully I'm giving you enough information and context to help you navigate and investigate what might be best for you. Antioxidants are really powerful, but they're not a shortcut either. They work the best when the body is nourished, when stress is being addressed, when sleep and circadian rhythm are being supported. We have to do the lifestyle work in order to reduce that oxidative stress also. And then our blood sugar and inflammation are definitely part of that too. So if we're eating and living in a way to reduce and support blood sugar and support inflammation levels, those antioxidants are going to work even better for you. Egg quality and sperm health and progesterone and lining development don't improve because you just take one supplement or even a supplement stack. They improve because the environment of those cells are developing in becomes safer, calmer, and better supportive. And your body is really smart. So fertility respects that, right? And how you're living should respect that. If this episode connected some dots for you, please share it with someone who's trying to conceive, especially if they've been told to just take a supplement without any real explanation or context. And please always remember that you're not broken. Your body is responding to its environment, and you may need more investigation to better learn how to work with or shift that environment. Okay, that means there's a lot that we can do to actually impact positive outcomes, no matter how you're working on trying to conceive. Hope you tune in next week. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.